Hello once again and welcome. This is Inside Politics on Universal Television, UTV Africa. This is where we talk about Nigeria, its growth, its development, and its politics, as well as the policies that drives its growth. We talk about the state of the nation. My name is Maduka Ujumad. I'm your regular anchor, and we do this every week as we try to have conversations that drive the development of Nigeria. Today I have a very special guest, a gentleman who is a published author. His books have been used for external exams in Nigeria. He's a former Minister of Youth Development. He's also a former Publicity Secretary of the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, and currently he is the Publicity Secretary of the African Democratic Congress, ADC, the opposition coalition in Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, let's make welcome Mallam Bolaji Abdullahi. Mallam, great to have you with us.
Thank you. Thank you very much. My pleasure.
It's ordinarily for someone like you with a rich CV, on any good day, you're worth a chat with to know what you think about national issues. We just recently celebrated Nigeria's 65th independence anniversary. Before we even come down to the current politics of Nigeria, you've been involved in the thick of things. You've been in the PDP, you've been in the APC, now you're in the ADC. One can say a movement has been a matter of necessity. You've been a minister and a national officer of two leading political parties. Now, looking back at Nigeria as a leader, a political and social leader, how well do you think Nigeria has done in the last 65 years and now? Some people have said there's nothing to celebrate. Others insist there's something to celebrate. Where do you stand on this?
Thank you very much for having me.
You're very welcome.
In the first place, yeah. I think both positions will be valid. There is something to celebrate. There's nothing to celebrate. There's little to celebrate. There is so much to celebrate. For me, I think the fact that we have survived and we have held together as a country itself is worthy of celebration. We went through the Civil War, we survived that, and we're together as a country. But I think it's about time that we started dreaming bigger dreams than just staying together. It does appear to me that from 1960, since 1960 that we gained our independence, our national aspiration had been to just be together. That was challenged in 1967. We recovered by 1970. Then we created the Federal Character Commission. We created different tools. And everything appeared to be like, let us just be together. Let us just be together. I think it's about time, 65 years after, that we began to evaluate ourselves by different parameters other than just being together. When you look at that, then you see so many reasons to be hopeful, but to also be disappointed. Disappointed in the sense that, hopeful in the sense that, well, 26 years of uninterrupted democracy, that is huge. There are children today who are married, Nigerian children at 26, who had never lived under military rule. So that is huge. But for those children, the question will also be, what does this democracy mean to me in real terms, in tangible terms, right? And the answer comes very short for them. And that is why I said it can also be disappointing. And then when we listened to the president yesterday, if you permit me to go so far, when I listened to the president yesterday, the speech was well written. but it was fundamentally flawed in the sense that the president failed to speak to the moment. That speech could have passed as just another State of the Nation address or as another budget speech, high on performance claim, rather than speaking to the nation and the issues that matter to majority of the people. You know, so, and this is a constant reminder of where we are as a country, where our democracy is as a country. So I believe we'll still talk about...
Yes, we will come back to that, but you've copiously used the word democracy. Some people would say what we have in Nigeria is not a democracy. That, yes, it's civilian rule, but the key tenets of democracy are missing. The rule of law, the separation of powers, the sanctity of institutions, and the cohesion that comes with everyone being equal and having fair treatment. Is that a correct view of it, or you think we do indeed have a democracy, but democracy comes in different shades?
No, it's difficult to argue against such position. Yes, we have routine democracy. Every 4 years we file out to vote, then we say, okay, that is democracy. But what is the quality of this democracy? I was reading the papers this morning and I read that someone was talking about courtroom democracy, where the outcomes of most of our election is determined by the courts rather than the ballot box or the polling units. And you also talk about, in terms of the quality of participation, the fundamental tenets of democracy is rooted on the key tenets of separation of power.
Yeah.
It was deliberately designed to provide checks and balances and to maintain the rule of law. In today's Nigeria, especially in the last 2 years, what you have is closer to totalitarianism than to democracy. Because you have the legislative authority, the executive powers, and the judicial authority all aligned behind one person, one man. There is no doubt, nobody has any doubt in this country today that the National Assembly is at the beck and call of President Bola Tinubu. Nobody is in doubt today that the judiciary is not able, cannot make any decision that is likely to upset the president. So when you have the three branches of government all aligned and working in the interest of one man, can you still call that democracy?
Not to interrupt you, but some people would ask, has that not been so? Has there ever been any time that we didn't see the executive having their fingers in every pie? People could reference you to Obasanjo's time, even up to Goodluck.
No. I don't agree with you. Look, you remember Gali Umar Naba?
Yes, the former Speaker of the House of Reps.
It was the National Assembly of Nigeria, don't forget.
Yes.
That stopped and subverted Obasanjo's third term.
Which he would deny.
He won't deny that, right? He won't deny that. But don't forget that Gali Umar Naba stood firm against attempt by the executive to usurp legislative powers.
Yes.
To a significant extent, the 8th Senate under Dr. Saraki,
Bukola Saraki,
maintained relative autonomy to the executive. It had not always been like this. No, at what point in our history since 1960 did you hear the Senate president on the floor of National Assembly lead a chorus of "On your mandate we shall stand"?
It has not even happened.
Inconceivable.
But the president of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, has consistently said that it is not about the legislature being an appendage of the executive, rather they have chosen to cooperate rather than be confrontational. Isn't that a laudable approach?
Cooperation and collusion are not the same thing.
Okay.
I'll take one example, the case of Rivers.
Rivers State, yeah.
What did the Constitution say? The Constitution says that the National Assembly shall vote, voice vote, two-third majority.
So that's a proper ballot,
Yeah.
not just yea and nay.
Voting in their name to support or oppose the declaration of a state of emergency. That is something that is fundamental. You are talking of as fundamental as truncating democratic institution in a state. Then what did the Senate do under Senator Akpabio? They used voice vote. So how is that cooperation? This National Assembly, when the history of this moment is written, they will be guilty of collusion in the subversion of our democracy. Because we hear them say that whatever the president wants, the president will get. The National Assembly is the meaning of democracy. Because under military rule, you will have the executive.
There's no legislature.
Yeah, you will have the executive.
Yeah.
You will have the judiciary.
Yeah, but no legislature.
The only institution that's missing,
True.
that makes it undemocratic, is the absence of the National Assembly, the legislative institution. That is the very bastion of democracy. And then when that is compromised, it's difficult to argue that you still have a democracy. And that's why I agree with you that democracy is not just about voting.
Yeah.
By the way, to what extent can we even claim that it is the vote that we cast that determine the outcome of the election and determine who actually governs? So can we still call that democracy? And that was why part of the speech by the president yesterday was profoundly disappointing. Instead of the president clapping for himself the way he did, right, we expected the president to be more humble, to acknowledge the challenge that we still face. The president did not use the word corruption one time. Maybe he actually believed it when he said there's no more corruption in Nigeria. The president did not mention judiciary one time. But everybody knows in this country today that we need to restore sanity to the judiciary. The president did not say anything about that. The president did not mention electoral reform one time. Everybody knows today that that is where the work is. We must reform our electoral system to give more confidence to people who come out to vote that their vote will count. The president did not say any of this. He mentioned security. And what did he say about security? Oh, that he's doing so well and they have actually killed a number of Boko Haram leaders. You know, for someone who comes from Kwara State, it's a tragic insensitivity to the plight of my people. Kwara State used to be one of the safest states in this country. Today, a part of Kwara State has been taken over by bandits. I see scores of people, I'm sure you saw the video.
Yeah.
Scores of people murdered, slaughtered in broad daylight. And the president had opportunity to speak few days after, and they had no single word of consolation for those people, or the people that were murdered in the mosque in Zamfara, as usual. He had no single word to say to them. He did not tell the country what he is going to do differently. He did not have the humility to acknowledge that whatever he has been doing has not worked. Nigerians are still being slaughtered And these are his new ideas of how to move forward. What did the president say? The worst is over. How can you tell a woman whose husband was just slaughtered in her very presence that the worst is over? How do you tell a father whose child still remains at home several weeks after schools have resumed because he is unable to pay that the worst is over? What exactly does that mean? The worst is over. What does that mean? It's good for the headlines, but what does it mean to an average Nigerian?
So is it then fair to say that Nigeria's democracy, or at least what it should have become, lost its way at some point? If it did, at what point do you think this current democratic experience lost its way to become this monster that we cannot define? Because the way you sound is almost like it's just in the last 2 years that everything went all right. But at what point did we miss it as a people?
No,
since 1999.
No, it didn't. They didn't start it. In fairness, you see pockets of misbehavior here and there at different times since 1999, right? President Obasanjo had his own. President Yar'Adua, maybe President Goodluck. Yar'Adua was almost a saint, in fairness.
Yes.
So President Goodluck Jonathan had his own and all that. But it was President Goodluck Jonathan that declared a state of emergency in the Bay States, Borno, Adamawa, Yobe. And it was advised, President, you don't have the power to remove an elected governor. And what did he do?
He backed off from doing that.
He backed off.
But he still proclaimed, he had the state of emergency to proclaim, but not to remove elected
Not to remove an elected governor. But proclaiming a state of emergency was a necessity because of the existential threats that those states were faced with at the time. But he was told that he didn't have the power, and he did not usurp the power that the Constitution did not give him. He backed up. That's democracy. President Goodluck Jonathan lost an election.
Yeah.
And what did he do? He called the winner and congratulated him. What he did shot our national rating, our global rating through the roof. That, hang on, something good can come out of Africa, not just Nigeria. To the best of my ability, I can't recall any instance where you will say President Buhari willfully broke the law. So what I'm saying is that these APC guys, in the last 2.5 years or so, under President Bola Tinubu, had done everything to bastardize what we know as democracy. They've corrupted democracy itself. So, for me, do we have a hope of improving our democracy as we proceed? God has a way of intervening in the affairs of Nigeria. But with these people, you see, because the biggest challenge, Maddox, the biggest challenge is that these guys are so convinced. They are so convinced about what they do that there's no chance to have a conversation to even change their mind. You know, after listening to this, if they get to listen to this, their reaction will be to come and start attacking and abusing. That's all they do. They are not capable of thinking. Say, okay, what lessons can we learn from this? They are not capable of understanding that we are also primarily Nigerians who have a stake here before we are partisan, before we are politicians, that we are primarily Nigerians. They are not capable. And that's why I said there seems to be no hope as long as these people are in power. Because if there are people who are capable of acknowledging that, hang on, that's true, we are not paying enough attention to this, maybe. But they behave like an army of occupation who are just here to plunder and loot and go.
So let me personalize this a little bit. You come across as someone who you have your strong opinions and you act on them. You were in the PDP, you were a minister under the PDP government, under the Goodluck administration, Goodluck Jonathan administration. And then you eventually joined the APC, where you rose to become a national executive member. And just a couple of minutes ago, you referred to these APC guys.
Yeah.
Because you've left their fold, you are now in the ADC. Are you driven by a zeal to see Nigeria better, or is it that, like they say, politics is about personal interest? It's always your personal interest that's driving you?
I wouldn't say that it's personal interest. I wouldn't say that. In the last couple of, since October last year, I've come to assume a different understanding and a different engagement with politics that I did not have the opportunity to do in the last 10 years or so. The time I was a federal minister under Goodluck Jonathan, I belonged to a political camp.
Okay.
And as a loyal member of that camp, I did what the camp wanted to do. Right. So when our group decided to go to APC, I had to.
It was a bandwagon.
It was a bandwagon. I had to, because I was loyal to a leader and to a group that was part of that. So I had to, because that also counts for something in politics. You're loyal to your group.
True.
You know, I was federal minister when my political group decided to go to APC. You know, I would have stayed back and continued to enjoy my position as a federal minister. But I said no. I followed them. I left my position. I was sacked, actually. So,
any which way you had to go. Whether you chose to resign or you were sacked, it was
obvious. So I had to go because it was no longer tenable.
Yeah.
I mean, if you stood for something, you have to be willing to pay the price. So I followed. So and when I was in APC, and I became the spokesperson of the APC. But let me say something. When we were in the APC, I was deputy director of policy and strategy of the Buhari campaign.
Yes.
That was the time we were preaching change.
Yes.
Right? People look back in the last 10 years and say, what was that about? Did you guys deceive us?
Yeah.
No. We actually believed it. We believed the change that we were preaching.
Yeah.
No, I recall that, and this is documented in my comic book, right? I recall that through the campaign, we had some of the best brains in this country and in the diaspora locked up in rooms and would debate different policy issues sometime late into the night. And at the end of the campaign, when President Buhari won the election, we had the documents ready.
A policy document.
A policy document in every sector were very clear, including the funding plan and everything. But we realized then that it's one thing to have all these plans, it's another thing to have the political buy-in for it. So one of the first things that the government, the President Buhari spokesperson did was to say all those promises we made. We had one document that we called Covenant with Nigeria. Yes. Was Garba Shehu at the time.
The document was denied.
No. They say it's the work of some of Azilos party members. So we've had our own experiences, and it's not for want of good intentions.
Yeah.
And all that. But last October, I resigned from PDP and
APC.
And no PDP, because we went back to PDP.
Exactly. That's
I actually contested election on that.
Yeah, you contested for the
Senate. Senate. Yeah.
Yes.
But last October, I finally decided to part way with the group, with the PDP, and of course with the group.
Okay.
And I'm able to find my own voice.
Okay.
You know, so now we are in ADC. I am convinced that the kind of politics we have played, Nigeria is in this quagmire that we have found ourselves today because of the kind of politics we have played. And I am convinced that if we are going to make something different of our country, it will also depend on the kind of politics we choose to play going forward. I see the ADC coalition as an opportunity, regardless of of how implicated the various actors, even in this coalition, were in the politics of the past. I see it as an opportunity to press the restart button and begin to play a different kind of politics.
All right. If you are just joining us, this is Inside Politics on Universal Television, Africa, UTV. Of course, we talk state of the nation. We'll be heading out to a break. When we come back, we'll resume our conversation with Mallam Bolaji Abdullahi, former federal minister, author, and former publicity secretary of the ruling APC, and now publicity secretary, national publicity secretary of the ADC. Don't touch your dial. We'll be right back.
If we are going to make something different of our country, it will also depend on the kind of politics we choose to play going forward. Even in this coalition, where in the politics of the past, I see it as an opportunity to press the restart button. With all this taxation, the simple ability of Nigerians to meet their basic needs have become impossible. What ADC will do is not to take money from poor people. A political party must be clear before election what he wants to do with power. And it must communicate it clearly. Every single person contesting election on the premise of that political party must be very clear what the party is promising. If you are a governor on the platform of ADC, you must be very clear what to do with power, because this is what ADC stands for.
Welcome back. Yes, we are continuing our conversation here with our guest, a special guest, Mallam Bolaji Abdullahi. He is the National Publicity Secretary of the African Democratic Congress, ADC. Now, before we went on the break, you did refer to your party as the coalition.
Yeah.
And that has raised a lot of questions. Why is it being called a coalition? Because a coalition means multiple parties coming to fuse together. This is just one political party, and yet you're calling it a coalition. Some people say that shows that you people actually don't know exactly what you're doing. Help me correct that impression if it's wrong.
Yeah, I mean, thank you. Strictly speaking, there is nothing wrong in calling what we're doing a coalition, and I'll explain why.
Okay.
You have what could be called a merger.
Okay.
What happened in 2014, 2015?
Yes.
When ABGA, AMPP, element of ABGA,
yes,
AMPP,
CPC.
ACN, CPC, and the faction of PDP, NPDP came together to form APC. That's what you could call a merger.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, what we have in this case is a coalition of opposition leaders from the various political parties.
Okay.
So instead of having a merger of different political parties, right, you don't have a coalition of individual leaders from the various political parties and their people coming together into the ADC, right? So, and that is why in 2014, 2015, I'm not sure anybody called APC a coalition.
Yeah.
Right? The word coalition didn't occur at that time. What you had was
a merger
of the different political parties, then they became APC. People like to make a comparison between the formation of the APC
Yeah.
and the formation of the ADC now. And the difference is not just the alphabets, the middle alphabets.
I like that.
You know, APC was an outcome of political strategy.
Okay.
We wanted to take power. Let's come together. We had this man who had consistently proven that they had 12 million votes locked down. If we added our own to it,
Yeah.
then to build a political party, then we could win the election. Right? And instead of ACM playing in the southwest, AMPP playing in some parts of the north, we could bring everything. So it was an outcome of political strategy. Then when the 5 NPDP governors joined, then it became a truly national party that was capable of winning the election. So it was an outcome of a political strategy. But what you have now, like you alluded to earlier, was a product of political necessity.
Okay.
How do I mean? The willful destabilization of the various opposition political parties rendered them untenable for the various political leaders to continue within those parties. PDP,
you think the current administration has a hand in all the crises?
Absolutely. They do. They have not denied it. We've said it repeatedly. They've never denied it. You know, but they'll come out and say, no, you had the president when he went to the National Assembly, he said, no, I had no interest in their parties, but I'm enjoying what is happening to them, but I will help them to solve their problem. You know all that. So what I'm saying is that the PDP was destabilized. It's still destabilized. And you know how? Labour Party caught the virus. SDP caught the virus. So all these parties became destabilized. And it was clear that Nigeria was heading towards a one-party state. And if you wanted to play politics in Nigeria, you had to join the ruling party. You know? That was why all the leaders of the various these political parties decided to come together in a coalition. And it was that coalition that led us into the ADC.
ADC.
Yeah.
So, but the ADC is a party that has existed, and we saw some en masse movement by some of these political leaders from different parties you talked about, and some people more like emerged from the shadows. Someone like the current national chairman of the ADC, Senator David Mark, he hadn't really left the PDP, but he didn't seem quite active. You could say the same for the current national secretary, Ogbeni Rauf Adeboshola. He also didn't seem to be quite very active in the APC, then emerged from the shadows. Some people are saying that even the crisis you described in other parties, that the ADC is not far from it, because we still hear rumbles as we speak. The matter is in court, where some of the members of the party are saying no. You just don't walk into the party and start taking over as interim executive. There's no provisions for such in the party's constitution. They're also arguing that it was just a deal done with Ralph Wilson, probably a few other members of the national executive. Some, or if not all, the state chairman, or would I say former state chairman of the party, were also pulling in a different direction, insisting that they do not recognize the leadership of the party, which you are part of. And that case is still in court somewhere. But what could sound as good news is that INEC has listed your people
for a reason
as the leaders of the party.
Yeah.
Don't you think that probably the ADC is actually sitting on a keg of gunpowder that could explode anytime and blow everything from under you? And then secondly, some people are saying that anything short of what happened in 2014 is a walkover for the APC, because the ADC would field candidate, obviously, but these other parties are still alive. and have the possibility of fielding candidates too, it would leave a divided field. If all of them had fused together, forsaken their emblems, forsaken their names, forsaken their identity, and decided to pull in the same direction, it would have given the party more traction. So let's start from the tightrope, apparently, that your leadership of the ADC is working on, and then the very nature of the coalition, whether it's not good enough for purpose, not fit for purpose.
I think the picture you painted is not exactly correct.
Okay.
What you found was that initially, when we began to have conversation about the possibility of a coalition, we had two plans.
Okay.
One was to register a new political party.
Okay.
The other one is to find a political party that will be willing to accept us and that will be amenable to the kind of party we're trying to build. And we did our due diligence. All the while that was going on, the government was aware. What did they say? They said, don't mind them, it's not going to work. They're just wasting their time. Then on July 2nd, we announced it. They said, oh, give them 6 months. They moved away from it's not going to work to give them 6 months. Then they realized that this thing appeared to be more serious than we thought. Then they began to instigate all these various characters.
So you think is the comments instigating those people?
Of course. The guy that rose from Gombe or so,
Yeah, they said
that said that is now the deputy chairman.
Now makes it.
That guy has been hiring lawyers, senior advocates of Nigeria. That guy can afford. We know him. Come on, with due respect. You know? But we knew that the same hands that destabilize all these other political parties were not going to just let us go scot-free. Those insidious hands will still continue to find way to destabilize. And that was why we took every single care to make sure we did everything that we needed to do. The neck that transferred power to us as a new executive was the 99th neck of the African Democratic Congress. It was duly constituted. It was observed by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. And it was proposed that the existing executive at the time be dissolved, and it was carried unanimously. It was proposed that this new executive be constituted, and it was carried unanimously. And that was why INEC recognized us, because they knew they were there, that we followed the process.
Okay.
So the case in court was to get an injunction to stop INEC from recognizing us. But INEC has already recognized us. You don't get an injunction for an action that has been taken. So they will have other people, but we are ready for them. So we don't face we are not walking any thin rope, or I can't remember the expression you used, or sitting on a keg. No, we are not sitting on a keg. We are in a comfortable zone. We are focused at this time in building our party, so we are not worried. We are not thinking about that. Okay. You know, when the case comes up in court, we'll have people who will deal with it.
Okay. But
the second question.
Yes, please do.
Yeah, so the second question about whether we think that with other parties existing, without collapsing,
extinguishing.
No. You see, about a week or so ago, I got a call from someone, a very senior citizen. I called to commiserate with him. Then he said to me, "Oh, I watch you, and I'm very impressed with the work that you are doing. Some of us are very skeptical about the coalition, but you are beginning to shift our position. What I can assure you, that there's so many people in this coalition who will not join your ADC, but they are with you.
They'll not join openly and formally.
So,
but on the field, they would
absolutely,
play for ADC.
the coalition is much bigger than what you see. What is clear today, and the government is helping us, because so many, almost all the PDP governors are migrating into the ruling party.
Yeah, I was going to actually, so that you continue with this trend of thought.
Yes.
One of the things that the APC has used and the federal government has used to taunt your party is that you're not attracting anybody. No governor has joined you.
No governor.
No senator is coming to join, serving senator. You have X this and X that, who according to them are all spent. So,
okay, do you know why no senators will come out openly now to join us? Because if your party is not openly factioned, if you jump, you might lose your seat.
okay,
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That does not mean they are not with us.
okay,
That's number one. Number two, they say no governor has joined us. No governor will join us. They know what you are capable of doing. They know that it's stick and carrot that you are using to whip them into line. They saw what you did with Fubara. They saw what you are doing with Adeleke. They saw what you are doing with other people. So they will not come and join. But we know who we are talking to. We know who is talking to us. They will not come. But when the time comes, everybody will answer their father's name. What is clear, that's like I told you, a governor in one of the northern states who joined APC. No, he was actually in the APC government.
okay.
Yeah. He went into one of the towns in the state. What he met, he didn't bargain for it. He met people shouting for him to go, and they were shouting ADC, ADC. The governor that the governor of Delta, the former governor of Delta, they came to ADC. What happened to him in the state? You saw the video.
APC.
So that a governor has got some of these governors, have you forgotten that even after their tenure as governor, some of them go back to run for Senate and lose their election in their state.
Very true.
So that a governor is with the ruling party, and that's why I say for us it is good. What is clear, 2027 election is going to be between the APC and their collaborators and the Nigerian people. Because the people that have borne the brunt of APC's misgovernance are the Nigerian people. So those who are just interested in those who are with the APC, they are the collaborators. So it's going to be a clear contest between the ruling party and the people of Nigeria. So we are not worried about how many governors we have, and how many, you will see what will happen.
Okay, but you've, let me say, rightly pointed out that this is a coalition of leaders of political parties,
Yes.
political leaders, not parties. And one of the things that some keen observers have said is that there's going to be an ego clash ultimately when it's time to choose who's going to be the party's flag bearer. They think that some of the potential candidates are such thick-headed persons that they would not agree to let go of the ticket, and we might also see an exodus of these people. And they're saying this accounts for why basically none of them has openly registered with the ADC. Even former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, former Governor Peter Obi, former Governor El Rufai, who also seems to have a crisis in the SDP that he openly declared for. They're saying when push comes to shove, none of these persons would yield to the other, and then at the end of the day, they would splinter. Many people also say that the ADC is playing catch-up with the ruling party as to giving a clear indication where and how its presidential ticket is going to go and how it's going to map out the strategy to overtake the ruling party, that is already too late in the day to get this together. Do you agree?
No, I don't. Look, the transformation of Nigerian political space after so many years of military rule changed within 10 months. 10 months. General Sani Abacha died. General Abu Salami took over.
Yes.
Within 10 months, we had democracy.
Yes.
Nobody saw that coming. Nobody saw that coming. 10 months. So if anybody is looking at 2 years down the line and making conclusions and assumptions,
it's a very long time in politics.
Long time in politics. You're talking about big egos and big men. Well, so far we've held it together. So far, everyone is committed to see whoever emerges, who will support.
Some people said it in PDP, but...
Well, they didn't say it in ADC. They're saying it now in ADC, right? You know, everybody is now saying, right, so far, people are saying, whatever happens, I will stay. You know why they are saying that? Why they are able to say that? Because the leadership of the party is giving commitment that the process will be fair and transparent to all concerned. You see, when people feel shortchanged, that they will begin to question the ethical foundation on which they stand and everything else. But when the leadership is able to inspire confidence, as General David Mark is doing at this time, as Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola is doing at this time, then it makes it easier for people to have confidence in the system, to trust the system, and to say, whatever happens, I'm not going elsewhere. I'm not going anywhere. So we believe that as long as we continue to hold it together this way, everything is politics, by the way.
Yeah.
You know, so, and you see, let me make one point about ADC. There are people who are in this ADC because they're just looking for a platform to contest the next election. And they found that their original political parties are no longer suitable for that purpose. There are those who are in the ADC because they just want President Bolaji Abdullahi out by all means. It's personal to them. There are those who are in the ADC because they believe Nigeria needs to be rescued from the misgovernance of APC in the last 2 years, given what we have seen, that Nigeria cannot continue under these people. And there are also the younger people who see ADC as an opportunity for them to learn the ropes into the future. So it's like a church or a mosque. We all go to those places to say we are worshiping God, right?
Yeah.
But you have your own small problem. You want to build a house. You know, I have my own problem. I want a child or a husband or a wife. You know, so it's the same thing. So all of us, but the most important thing is that we say we are building a political party that will give a different direction to Nigerian politics. And the next couple of weeks, you begin to see what we mean by this. Because you begin to see a commitment to certain philosophical principles that will guide our party. You begin to see an express declaration of a commitment to good governance and to specific policies that will back up. Because the question people ask is, how are you going to be different from the ruling party? Right? We're going to show in the coming days how clearly we are. And like I said, the difference is not just in the alphabet.
But then every political party takes into consideration the national political barometer at each point in time. Zoning.
Yes, you talked about zoning.
Zoning is not a part of the constitution, but there's that chorus that the South has another 4 years. Is the ADC buying into this?
ADC hasn't got to that point. We're not the ruling party APC. We're not a PDP that has a longer history. right?
They've done this before.
And they've done this before. Actually, it's a PDP thing. This zoning thing.
Yeah.
It's a PDP thing, right? For us in ADC, we have more urgent issues to deal with.
Okay.
We're just building our political party. We're just putting up structures across the country. But when the time comes, like I said, 2 years is a long time. When the time comes, we'll have conversations around all these issues, including the issue of zoning. We'll decide.
It's almost as though we're in court. So let me make a put.
Please.
I put it to you.
Yes.
That
Please.
people are saying the ADC is just a coalition being built for one man, Atiku Abubakar. And at the end of the day, his interest is going to be so overbearing that it will drive the other people out. You are a friend of Atiku, let me put it that way.
How do you know that?
Okay. Well, you've talked about movement and all, but then we know the osmosis of politics in Nigeria. So I'm not pushing it too far, but I think that that's the perception, that this coalition is just for Atiku Abubakar.
Okay, let me see.
At the end of the day, when it becomes apparent, some of the other people are going to pull out.
Let me say.
Still the north-south issue is playing out here.
Let me say it quite clearly to you. This coalition is not about Atiku Abubakar at all. Because for you to assume that it is about Alhaji Atiku Abubakar is to insult the intelligence of a Rotimi Amechi. Is to insult the intelligence of a Peter Obi. And to insult the intelligence of a Raufu Aregbesola. So how do you think of Emeka Ihedioha, of so many other people from the southeast and the south and the southwest who are part of this, who are committed to this, who are laboring to build the party day and night? And you think Chief John Oyegu, an 86-year-old man, is doing this in Edo because of Atiku? Come on. They've never even been in a political party. In the same political party. That's the former national chairman of APC.
Of APC, yes.
So, you see, people would like to say this thing, think they can blackmail us into coming out to say, oh, we are not Atiku party, therefore we are doing this. No. We're not going to be stampeded into doing what we are not ready to do, because the easiest way to dismantle everything is to preemptively take a decision that was not timely. There will be time to have considerations for all the issues of whether zoning or who will be the presidential candidate. If we are able to engineer a consensus, fine. If we need to go for open primaries, fine. But there will be plenty time down the line to do that. You know, by saying, oh, it's Atiku, there are plenty of evidence that I can't even begin to give you here. You know, it's not Atiku.
It's okay. Okay, so now as the mouthpiece, I could say the chief salesman of the ADC, there are people listening to you at this moment. There are people who are watching you at this moment. If they're going to ask you, why should it be ADC come 2027? Make your pitch. You're the salesman here. Talk to them. Let them see that thing that the ADC is bringing to the table, not just displacing the P with a D.
Yeah.
That should inspire confidence to say, okay, that's the vehicle for getting Nigeria back from those people you think have ruined it.
Well, I mean, thank you very much. The most important thing we have to ask ourselves, why are we where we are today? Well, like I said, everything has been a function of the kind of politics we've played. Everything. Whether it's the economy, whether it's the social issues, they have all been the product of the kind of politics we have played. And the kind of politics that the APC has played is a politics of exclusion. That if you are not part of a small crony that is connected to a small circle, you have no say in the government. That's number one. Number two, there's no country in the world that has taxed its way out of economic crisis. This government in the last 2.5 years, now they say from January next year, you have money in the bank, you pay tax.
Yeah.
Petrol, buying petrol, 5% tax. They say they are suspending that, I don't know. Aviation tax, means that each time you buy a ticket, it's already been priced out of the hands of Nigerians, right? Now with the aviation tax, you now have to pay even more, right? With all this taxation, the simple ability of Nigerians to meet their basic needs have become impossible. What ADC will do is not to take money from poor people and use it to run a government that is living so lavishly.
But the government would boast that they have more revenue than ever before, and they're plowing it to infrastructure and all that.
Which infrastructure?
Projects.
Which infrastructure?
You'll be shown a David Umahi or a Wike in Abuja who have brought massive infrastructure development across the country. You don't think this?
I'll give you an assignment. One of the infrastructure is International Conference Center that they say they renovate with 39 billion. Renovate.
Wike boasts with that and actually renamed it after the president.
After the president. Okay, let's leave that. The what is it called? What do they call it? The transport, the hub, the
bus terminals.
The bus terminals. Who built bus terminals and has no buses? I mean, these are fancy projects. You see, but what you asked me to do is to tell you why ADC.
Yes.
I'm telling you that ADC will make energy affordable to Nigerians. Because one of the key things that Nigerians are grappling with today is that a small vulcanizer on the roadside cannot afford to buy diesel or petrol for a small generator. The price of food is spiraling because of the cost of fuel. The most important thing is we are very clear about it, that one of the first things ADC will do is to make energy affordable to Nigerians. And it is doable. It is not magic. The second one is security. You have to be alive.
Yeah.
And that is why I say I don't want to give you my personal opinion of how you will do it, because you'll be asking me, how do you want to do this? Like I told you, I will invite you to our policy conferences. We are starting our policy conversation soon, because one of the things that we have said is that we, ADC, one of the mistakes that we have all made in the past, all of us, without exemption, is that our political parties come to power and they leave it to you, elected, to decide what you want to do with power. Then you gather some consultants, then you develop some policy glossy document, shiny document that you will never touch, and they say that is the blueprint, campaign plans. No. A political party must be clear before election what it wants to do with power. And it must communicate it clearly. Every single person contesting election on the premise of that political party must be very clear what the party is promising. If you are a governor on the platform of ADC, you must be very clear what to do with power. Because this is what ADC stands for. Right. If you are in the National Assembly on the platform of ADC, you must be very clear what to vote for and what you cannot vote for. Because it is lack of clarity from the political parties that has led us down the route that in the Second Republic, if you voted for UPA, you know what you are voting for. At least you get free education.
Yeah.
So, and this is the kind of political party we are trying to build in the ADC. And I believe at the right time, we'll be able to.
In other words, the ADC is being built on principles and policies that are deliverable. Unfortunately, time is against us. I wish we could go on and on, but I do believe you'll be back more and more times to give us your take on issues. Thank you so much, Mallam Bolaji Abdullahi, for coming.
Thank you.
to talk
My
to
pleasure.
us.
Thank you very much.
And that's where we wrap it up today on this conversation. But do come back for even more here on Universal Television Africa, UTV's Inside Politics, as we talk more of making Nigeria a better place. We discuss the state of the nation. My name is Maduka Ojimadu. Do check us out on our website, utvafrica.com. Till we meet again, have a pleasant day.